Alright guys, so this is the first video for Unit 2, and this is going to complete our Part 1 review minus systems, but I like to give systems its own unit so that we can focus on that strictly as a unit by itself. In this unit we're going to be focusing on graphing, functions, and we're also going to be focusing on slope and all the different ways that slope applies to a line. Unfortunately, because of the review units, you guys will not be getting a project with this unit either. I'm hoping to start projects with systems so that you guys can actually get on the Xboxes and do something fun. But let's go ahead and get into the notes. So in our last unit, we did solving equations and inequalities strictly by, doing the calculations. So your warm-up is sort of the same thing. So we're going to solve equations and inequalities by graphing. Would you guys take a minute and go ahead and solve these two problems? Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so hopefully that was just a quick refresher on how to solve equations and inequalities. What I want to go into now is how we can actually do that using the TI-83. So obviously you probably don't have a TI-83 at home right now. So when you're doing this video, just write down all the steps, look over it with me, and when we do the work in class, we'll definitely be working together to understand it. So to solve equations using the TI-83, you're going to split the equation at the equal sign. And then you're going to click y equals. You're going to enter the left side into y1, and you're going to enter the right side into y2. And so then you're going to click graph, and you're going to look for the intersections. You're going to click second trace, and you're going to click 5 because we're going to intersect. And then you're going to click enter 3 times. The answer will always be at the bottom of the screen. You're always looking for the x value. And then you can click second table, and you look for the x value where the y1 and y2 are equal. Okay? So at this point, that's just a lot of instructions to use the calculator. But I want to take a second. I want to show you how this works in real time. So if it says 4x plus 1 is equal to 9 by graphing. So here I have my calculator. Okay? So I'm going to put 4x plus 1 into y1, and I'm going to put 9 into y2. So we're going to go ahead and do that side by side. Y equals 4x plus 1 and 9. Okay? And then we're going to hit graph. And so by looking at the picture, I can see that I have a line, 2 lines that go like that, and they intersect somewhere up here. Now this isn't really to scale, but we'll get there and it'll be fine. There's 2 ways that we can find the intersection. And so we're going to go back to this picture. Maybe I'll do a better job this time. And we know the intersection is somewhere around 3, 9 or 2, 9, somewhere around there. So there's 2 ways that we can look for the intersection. We can hit second trace. So I can hit second trace. And I want to know what the intersection is, so I hit 5. And then I'm going to hit enter 3 times. And sure enough, it tells me that the intersection is at 2, 9 when I do that. So I just calculated the intersection by hitting second trace at 5 and then enter 3 times. And sure enough, the intersection of these 2 lines is at x value of 2, y value of 9. I can also go to my table. So if I hit second graph, and I see in my table that all the values are 9 over here in y2. Where the value is 9 at y1, that's where they match up. So my correct answer is 2, 9. And so as my proof, I put 2, 9, 9, and so the solution is 2, 9. Okay? Inequalities work the same way. We just have to do one other step. You split the inequality at the sign, whatever the sign is, so at the inequality sign, you click y equals. You're going to enter the left side into y1, the right side into y2, and then you put the whole thing into the y3. In order to click inequality signs, you have to click second math, and all your inequality signs are there. Then you click graph. You look for the intersection, just like we did before. Then you click second tape trace, just like we did before. And you click 5, which is where we're looking for the intersect. And you click enter, 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 just like we did before. Enter 3 times. The answer will be at the bottom of the screen. You are always looking at the x value again. Okay? There is one extra step when we look at the table. You can hit second graph and look at the table, and you will have ones where the inequality is true, and zeros where the inequality is false. And the third line you see is the graph of the solutions on a number line. So this is how you know which direction to write your sign. So for example, if we see a line like this, and it's at the number 4, then we know it's x is less than 4, or it's less than or equal to 4. When you write your answer, make sure to look to see if you have the equal to bar or not. So like if it's a less than, you need to know that. If it's less than or greater than, you need to know that. So let's take a look at one of these in practice. So I have 3x plus 1 is less than or equal to negative 2. So when I go to the calculator, I'm going to put 3x plus 1. I'm going to put negative 2. And then I'm going to do 3x plus 1 is less than or equal to negative 2. So let's go ahead and go to the calculator and do that. Y equals 3x plus 1, negative 2. And now I'm going to go to line 3, and I'm going to do 3x plus 1, second math, it's less than or equal to, so I'm going to put that there, negative 2. And I'm going to go ahead and hit graph, and we want to look at the graph of this. Perfect. So I have this line, I have this line, and it's through negative 2, so I need to do a little bit better job. But more importantly is I have this line. This line is going to tell us the answer right there. When I hit second trace, I'm still calculating the intersect. I'm going to hit enter 3 times. My intersection is at negative 1, negative 2. That's important. And I guess I need to move this over a little bit. It's at negative 1. Yeah. That's important because now what's going to end up happening is in inequalities, we're not necessarily caring about like before we got an answer and we got negative 1, negative 2, and so you knew that x was equal to negative 1 if this was an equality. But now we're looking at inequalities. So we come back to this picture right here, and this line is the most important line. And so we go back to the idea of, okay, x and negative 1, but now we've got to decide is it less or greater. Since the line is going to the left, it's less than. Now let's look at our original problem. It also had an equal to bar. So our answer also has to have an equal to bar. Okay? And so let's go ahead and look at the table real quick. Notice how, again, everything's negative 2. So I've got to find where negative 2 is at. And there it is. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 2. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 2. And if we went over to y3, we would notice that it said 0. Okay? So again, our solution is x is less than or equal to negative 1. I want you guys to really look over everything that we've done here and really understand the steps that we followed to put this in the calculator. When we get into class tomorrow, I'm going to expect you to grab a calculator and be able to solve an equation and an inequality before we start working on these on our own. So I'll put on the, probably like I'll pick up on the notes somewhere and I'll say, solve this equation, solve this inequality using the calculator. So be prepared for that when you come into class. Well, actually, this one will probably be on Monday, so be prepared for that when you guys come into class on Monday.